med.tips, and this week I'm going to go over a blog entry for shin splints. Now, first I'm going to start off with 4 different types of shin splints, and then I'm going to review a couple different strategies for each specific one, and lastly I'll review a series of steps that you can do which are going to help with all of them actually. Now if none of these work, then I recommend you go see a doctor or physical therapist, but hopefully these home treatments can get you back running, playing sports, whatever it is you want to do. Let's get started. Alright, the first type of shin splint is, shin splints doesn't really have a meaning, it just means random shin pains. The worst type that you can get is called compartment syndrome, and you've got a series of compartments in your calf, in the front and in the back, different parts. What you're going to experience with this is throbbing, numbness down into the foot. You might lose function of your lower leg and ankle, and you might get some tingling or burning, and you might feel some extreme pressure buildup right in the calf, whether it's on the front or the back. Now, if you experience any of these, immediately you need to go see a doctor. If you don't go see a doctor, it's going to cause permanent damage down into your foot and loss of function, and no one wants that. So that's the most dangerous type. It's not very common, but it can happen, so just be aware of it. Secondly, this is called your anterior tibialis muscle. It runs, from your knee down, basically down right to this bone that makes up your arch. And this is a common place that people get shin splints, right on the front of their shin. This is caused by either weakness in this specific muscle, because we often push off with the back of our calf and we neglect to strengthen the front. It can also just be an overtraining issue. Often shin splints happen at the end of practice or after a long race, and that's when the muscle starts to get fatigued. And what happens with a shin splint is the muscle actually starts to pull away from the bone, so all that connective tissue, it starts to get ripped apart, and then it causes an inflammation reaction, and that's where the pain is coming from. Now, to treat anterior shin splints, you can use a rolling stick to massage it out a little bit. That generally helps. But the biggest thing you're going to want to do is work on strengthening this specific muscle. Strengthening this and stretching it, with your toe down, and that's going to do the most for that specific muscle. The second type, and this is your posterior tibialis muscle, which runs from the inside of your shin all the way down here, and it attaches to the same bone. Right here, there's a bone right at the top of your arch, and both the anterior tibialis and the posterior tibialis run down there, go around here, and attach right there. So what you'll experience with posterior tibialis shin splints is just pulling and sharp pains up and down the inside of the shins. And this is the one I've experienced the most. It's almost debilitating. You can't even run. And the key to treatment is going to be creating an arch support, because if this arch drops at all, and a lot of people, maybe your doctor's told you that you have overpronation when you step, and that just means that your arch drops to the middle, and that causes a tiny stretch in the tendons that go to either of these muscles. And so that's generally the biggest cause that I see of posterior tibialis shin splints. Also overtraining, same as the other side. And so other than getting a good arch support for your feet, you want to work on strengthening this muscle by doing calf raises. And you can do your calf raises standing or sitting. You can do them with your feet forward or out or in. Any way that you can to strengthen these muscles. To focus it, you want your toe in, and that's really going to focus the interior muscles. Thirdly, this one is less well known. It's the flexor hallucis longus muscle, and to make a big word short, it's the big toe muscle. So this muscle actually runs down with the posteriorlis muscle and tendon, runs under here, comes under your foot, and attaches on your big toe. And what happens is, when we're running all the time, if we don't have a good solid foot support, maybe we've just switched to minimalist shoes, or maybe we just don't have a good arch support, and this starts to pull up here. and we get shin splints because this muscle is getting overstretched. A quick way to tell this apart from posterior tibialis is if you pull up on the big toe, you're going to get a tight stretch either in the arch or at the point where the most amount of pain is. So those are really the 4 different types of shin splints. Each one you are going to follow a few different tactics, but the following list of ideas are all things that you can use for all of them. So it's what I call a shotgun approach to rehab. You know, if you don't really want to go see a physical therapist, you want to try treating it yourself, or maybe you've seen a doctor and they just couldn't help you. This is a list of things that you can do by yourself that are gonna, hopefully treat and help you prevent injuries in the future. So, first one, myofascial release. That's basically just giving yourself a massage. Foam rolling, calves, hamstrings, front of the shins. Foam roll everything. I love the foam roll. I've got a video coming out on the foam roll. You can check it out on the website. Secondly, you can get a stick. A lot of runners you'll see, they've got this stick and they just kind of roll the muscles out. That one's really good for the anterior tibialis. Thirdly, and this is one that I've recently acquired, is the spike ball. Now you take the spike ball, you put it on the ground, and you're going to roll out your calves with it. You can use your hand too. The real key, what the spikes do is they penetrate right into that muscle, and they reinitiate kind of an extra inflammatory reaction, and that promotes enough blood flow that you get the right chemicals and healing proteins that come in there and are able to fix the repairs even faster than before. So spike ball is a huge one. Another technique that we can use friction massage, which is, I got a video on this one on the website too, and you're basically taking your thumbs or your fist or some sort of hard object, and you're just going to find the tendon and you're going to rub it, like just dig right into it, and that's again the same thing. You're trying to actually injure the tendon or the muscle so that you can promote enough blood flow that the injury actually heals. With shin splints, especially posterior tibialis and flexor hallucis shin splints, I find that there's a sweet spot just about halfway up the shin, and you're going to find right in here there's some tight tendons in there where these muscles connect and with the bigger muscles, and if you just take your thumbs and just kind of massage that area out, honestly, when I go running, this gives me immediate pain relief. It's a great little tactic. You can give it a try. Let me know how it works. Alright, moving on. Shoe specialist. I used to get really expensive orthotics. They helped change the way my feet move. You can get cheaper orthotics. I think it's called Super Feet. You can get those at an EMS store, and they're color customed for your different style arch. Some people have flatter arches, some people have, bigger arches. Over time, I've moved away from arch support, and I like to use the minimalist shoes. You can see I'm wearing these, New Balance minimalist slippers, basically. But sometimes my arches get sore, my shins get sore, and I have to switch back. And I do have some Super Feet arch supports that I use just to give my body a rest every so often. All right, moving on. This is probably the biggest, most important part, single leg exercises. We evolved running through the forest, chasing deer and whatnot as, crazy cavemen. And now we have all these super modern shoes. They've got arch support, they've got all this, back support, and they're a rough surface, and so our feet have actually gotten weaker. So the thing about minimalist shoes is it forces your intrinsic muscles, the tiny muscles in between your toes and under your arch, to engage to keep your balance. And what this is huge for injury prevention. You need to develop this intrinsic strength by either walking barefoot, exercising barefoot. You can try jogging barefoot, but don't overdo it at first because you'll probably get injured. I like to do single leg balance, single leg squats, lunges, hopping side to side. All of these single leg exercises not only strengthen the calves and the arches, they also build hip stability and focus on core stability, you know, through the whole range of motion. All right, 2 more things. Lastly, you can use something like Toprasan or Arnica. Those are both creams that promote blood flow and healing. And finally, I'll give you a little taping method. If you're having a rough shin splint and you've got a race and you don't have time to heal it, you can just add a little compression. Again, this is a single roll of Power Flex. I love this stuff. It's flexible, waterproof, and works great. And what I do is I don't do the whole shin. I haven't found any benefit to doing more or less. I just do maybe 4 to 6 inches up the shin, you know, just like this. Go up, down, up, down, up, down. Kind of making an X pattern right over where I'm getting that injury. And yeah, there you have it. So that's pretty much everything I can think of in 10 minutes. How to treat a shin splint. If you have any other questions, you know, post below, go to the website, shoot me an email. I'll be happy to respond.